Hello everyone, my name is Dhamanpreet and today I am present the presentation and let's just start with the contents. The first one is introduction, system features, use case diagram, use case documentation, class diagram, use design patterns, sequence diagram, user interface, design, SDK feature used, application demonstration, testing, critical evaluation, and the last is conclusion. And let's start with the introduction. The Personal Expenses Tracker is a mobile application which developed by using Android Studio and Kotlin programming language. The application is designed to help to the user to manage their daily expenses efficiently through a simple and user-friendly interface. The system allows to the user to record their daily expenses, categorize them according to the view expenses history, and analyze their spending patterns properly through the graphical representation such as pie chart. And the application was developed by using the modern Android development technologies such as Jetpack Compose and Android SDK components. The project demonstrates important concepts of a mobile application development, which is including screen navigation, dynamic user interface, data handling in effective way, the state management and analytic visualization. And the next slide show the main features of this application. There is the main features and there is a three features of this application. The first one is user features and second is expense categories and the third is benefits. And the next slide show the system architecture, application structure, main activity control navigation, compose screens manage UI, expense manager handle data, expense class stores expense information, and architecture components, UI layer, data layer, and state management layer. And this next slide show the use case diagram. The first we have to the login and after that add expenses, and the next is we have to select the category, and after that we have to view expense and check the view chart. And the next slide show the use case login. The use case login of the app explanation. The login use case acts as an entry point of this application. When the user launches the application, the login screen is displayed first. The user interacts with the login button to enter the system and access the dashboard screen. This functionality improves application flow and provides a starting point of accessing all expense management features. The login process was intentionally kept simple for demonstration purpose. The login screen was developed using Jetpack Compass button and the last is Coleman layout. And the next slide show the use case add expenses. The add expenses use case is one of the core functionalities of this application. This feature allows users to record their daily spending information. The user enters expense title, second is expense amount, and third is expense category. After entering the required information, the user clicks the Save button. The expense data is then stored inside the Expense Manager object and displayed dynamically in the expense history section. And the next slide is use case view expense and analytics. There is the features, Jetpack components and view analytics. It's also feature and library used. And the next slide show the class diagram. And the class diagram represents the structural design of the personal expenses the tracker application. It visually explains how different classes are connected, how data flows through the system, and how application components interact with each other. The class diagram is one of the most important UML. UML means Unified Modeling Language diagram because it helps a developer understand The first is application architecture, relationship between classes, data organization, object-oriented programming structure, and software maintainability and scalability. And there is a lots of main classes. The main activity: login screen, dashboard screen, add expenses screen, expense history screen, and analytics screen. And the last is expenses. And the next slide shows the important class. There is a lots of responsibility in important class, like control screen navigation, handle state change, display screen dynamically, and we have to change the expensive class store such as title, amount, category, and act as a data model of the application. And the next slide shows the software design pattern. And there is a lots of points in this software design patterns. First is single tone patterns, and second is modular design, and third is state management. And there is a lots of benefits of these points. And the next slide shows the sequence diagram. The sequence diagram shows how the user interact with the system while adding an expenses. The add expenses screen collects user input and sends the expense information to expense manager. The expense is stored in this list and displayed in the expense history screen. And the next slide shows the user interface design. The user interface screen develop like login screen, dashboard screen, add expense screen, expense history, and analytics screen. And the simple UI design goals are simplicity, easy navigation, readability, user-friendly interaction. And the next slide shows the SDK features used. And there is a lots of SDK features such as Jetpack Compose, Android navigation, state management, and dynamic UI rendering. And Jetpack Compose explains the modern toolkit used to build the app user interface with less code and powerful tools. And second is Android navigation, a framework that handles the flow between different screens of the app. State management, the logic used to keep the UI synced with the underlying data, such as updating a list when a user adds an item. And the next is dynamic UI rendering, creating a parts of the interface on a fly based on a specific data or user attributes. And the second is external library. There is a lots of points of external library. The first one is AMP Android Chart, and second is Android Studio and Kotlin. The AMP Android Chart defines a specific third-party library used to create and display graphs or data visualization. And second is Android Studio and Kotlin. The project was built using the official development environment and the primary modern programming language for Android. And why the SDK was important? The SDK software development kit acted as the toolbox for a developer. It provided necessary pre-built functions or protocols. Design the UI without building everything from scratch. Manage how users move through the app. Process and handle data efficiently. Easily integrate complex features like charts. And the next slide shows the application demonstrate. And we have to demo flow, and after that log into application. After that we have to open the dashboard and add expenses. Moreover, view expense history and open the analytical charts. And the next slide shows the testing and test plan. Unit testing was planned to verify the functionality of each important components of the application. Test focused on validating users' navigation, expense addition, expenses displays, analytics functionality, and dynamic user interface updates. And the next slide shows the critical evaluation and the strength of this application: simple user interface, easy navigation, real-time updates, expense visualization, modular structure, and there is a lots of limitations such as no Firebase integration, no room database, temporary data stored, basic authentication system, and there is a lots of future improvements: notifications, PDF report export, and Firebase authentication. And the next last is the conclusion. The personal expense tracker application successfully achieved its objective of helping user manage daily expenses using a mobile platform. The application includes important functionalities such as expense recording, category section, expense history management, and analytic visualization. The project demonstrates practical implementation of Android Studio, Kotlin programming, Jetpack Compose, and Android SDK technologies. Multiple screen navigation handling, state management, and graphical analytics were implemented successfully. One of the major strengths of the application is its simple and user-friendly interface. User can navigate easily between screens and manage expense efficiently. The analytics section provides a graphical understanding of user spending behavior, and the project also demonstrates the importance of modular programming and object-oriented software design principle. The separation of screen and centralized expense management improved and code organization and maintainability. However, there are also some limitations with the current implementation. The application currently uses temporary in-memory data stored instead of permanent database stored, such as room database of Firebase. As a result, expensive data may not persist after that application closes. Thank you so much for listening my video.